Hello. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 with the Rude Man. We are back in Brazil. And interestingly enough, when I left the other night, Tuesday, I went out and I told you I was going to finish picking up the straw, which I did, although it's not straw. You get hay from the rice. But so I finished picking that up. While I was doing that, I let the time run. And so by the time I was done picking up all of that, the rice was ready to harvest again. So we're all set for another harvest, which is weird to me. So my other crops haven't been growing. So, well, they did, but the rice came back right away. So let's see. Let me grab some flying here and some speed. There's Scorp. Thank you, Scorp. Appreciate it. But yeah, so the other crops aren't ready yet. They're growing. They are growing. And I got soybeans. The reason I did soybeans is because soybeans are always a good crop to have. I can make, I think I can make oil from them. I'm not sure, but I use them for my pig food. So it's potatoes, sugar beets, and soybeans, I think. And I got pig food. Is that right? Is that right? I think it is. Pig food. Pig food, pig food, pig food. Down here, pig food. Yeah, soybeans. Yeah. Ooh, I got some pig food to pick up. A lot of pig food. Oh, I'm gonna get rich fast. We're gonna buy some more land. I can see that right away. Pig food. All right. So let's see what we got going before I start cutting the rice or harvesting the rice. I didn't really want to get right back into rice because this morning because I just finished it yesterday. When it wasn't yesterday, it was Tuesday, right? Tuesday, whatever day it was. What am I doing? I'm dropping to the ground because I want to get over here to my truck. So let's grab truck and trailer, tractor and trailer. Start that up. Hey, Andy. Andy, I hate to hit you right away, but how's Jenny? I'm heading to get some pig food. Okay. Scorpion and Andy, when they get done yelling at each other.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers, Scorp. First round's on Scorp. Give him a beer first. There you go. That'll get him going. I would think. I would think. Hi, Matt. How's Matt doing? Just so Matthew knows, I've already got my drink, so I didn't want to wait till 2 o'clock. We can still run the soup du jour thing, but I tried something new today. I had a Mexican pizza. It's at Taco Bell. Why Taco Bell, you say? Well, because it's only a couple blocks away, and it's easy for Carol to grab for me when I'm live streaming. You know, so it's real easy for her just to, pop over there. They've got a fast drive-in. And Lori's in the house. Lori, how's the weather today, Lori? You getting any more sun? I haven't even looked outside today, believe it or not. It's been one of those days. Diet Dr. Pepper. I've got one of those, but I can't. Maybe I'll have one later because I haven't had a Dr. Pepper in a couple weeks now. That's the best time, believe it or not, to me, that's the best time to have a Dr. Pepper is after you haven't had one for a month or two, because it's like that first sip. It's like, oh my God, this is so good. It's been so long. If I drank Dr. Pepper every day, I think I'd get tired of it real quick. Where's my pig food? Oh, this is it. I lost, I lost my factory. I forgot what it looked like. Yeah, wait, okay. In my defense, I'm looking at it from this side. Okay, so when I think of my pig food farm, I think of it as being on this side, because this is generally what I'm looking at. Where do my potatoes and beets go? Wow, that was full just yesterday. Like this right here. Those two were like that. Wow. Mexican pizza. Mexican pizza. Tim's in the house. Ruben, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. Tim's playing FS22, No Man's Land, sorghum and soybeans, which reminds me, a few live streams ago, I did some sorghum, if you remember. As a matter of fact, I bought a field that had sorghum. I didn't plant it myself. I bought a field that had sorghum on it. I still have that sorghum. I didn't sell it. So I want to sell some stuff today, and I'm going to be rich and I can buy more land. I just feel it in my bones. Lori says she's tanning, which I'm assuming that answers my question about whether she has sun. I wouldn't be out tanning if there wasn't any sun. Because in my neck of the woods, if there's no sun, it's colder than hell. You'd be more likely to get a frostburn than you would a suntan. So I was telling, can you please do a field of chicken peas? Chicken peas? Do we have chicken peas on this map? I can't remember. I don't remember what we have on this map. Let us see. We do not have chickpeas on this map, so I can't do chickpeas. Because we just have the regular here, right here, regular stuff. The only thing special we have is rice and black beans and pinto beans. That's all we have that's special. Other than that, it's all just the normal giant stuff, so. Yes, there you go. All right, back at it. All right, I gotta wait. While I'm waiting for that, let me go see what else we got. Let's get rid of that. Start up that tractor. And I do have another trailer someplace, and I lost a trailer. I did go in and I got rid of all of the leased equipment, and one of the trailers I had was leased, so I don't have that grain trailer anymore. If I need it, I'm gonna have to buy a new one, I guess. What's my dog doing out in the field? Let us see if we have some chickpeas. Everything's, I'll have to see, Tim, because everything's already planted and growing, and I don't think it's going to ripen by the end of the show today. So I don't anticipate planting any more crops today. I may actually buy a field that's already got something on it, maybe. I don't know. Not Mary Jane? What is not Mary Jane? When I was a kid, Mary Jane was marijuana. Oh, that's why I don't use this. I can't use this trailer here because now I'm stuck. Oh man, I'm stuck. What am I gonna do? All right, I'm out. Okay, so I can't use that trailer, which is okay. I didn't really. This trailer don't hold anything anyway. Plant some pinto beans. And hey. Hey. Lori says hey. Hey. Is that a southern thing? Hey. I'm Jane Everly. Oh, sweet. So, but you're not Mary Jane. So, Jane, do you have a middle name that's not Mary? And I like that, Mary. I like what you did there, Jane. Not Mary. I meant to say not Mary. I like that because my name, obviously, is the Rude Man, which is not my name. But it's based on my name. My name is Rudy, and I used to work for a radio station. At the radio station, they called me the Rude Man. So when I started doing internet stuff, I just went with the Rude Man. So there you go. All right, let's grab the sorghum I was talking about. Because I have no need for it, I might as well sell it. A field of pinto beans would make a noisy field. Oh, is that a fart joke? Seriously? Is that a fart joke? So, Carol and I had an interesting conversation yesterday. There's a guy I watch on YouTube, and in the last year, he's lost about 20, 30 pounds. And I didn't notice it until one day he mentioned the amount of weight that he lost. And I thought, oh, that's right. The guy was on a diet. And I went back and looked at one of his old videos, and his face was twice the size. He had a fat face, and now he doesn't. He's got a skinny face now. I lost over 30 pounds in the last couple months, and I still have a fat face. But that's been a curse of my life. I've always had a fat face. And I think that's why a lot of people think I've got a big head. I don't. I have a very small head. When I get a baseball cap, I have to really cut it down because I have such a small head. When I bought that top hat, I had to buy the smallest one I could find to fit on my head. But, you know, because I have a fat face, I think everybody thinks I've got a fat head. Anyway, that's the conversation we were having because I saw this guy and I looked at Carol and I said, damn. And she says, what? And he goes, why is it everybody else can lose weight and look thinner, but I can't? You know, because my face looked like this when I only weighed 150, 60 pounds when I was a Ute. It's terrible, terrible. Jeremy's in the house. Hey, Jeremy. A big personality. Oh, I've never been accused of that. Okay, now look. Did you see what Mary said? What not Mary? Did you see what not Mary said? Not Mary said, "You don't seem like a rude man." You've heard me tell the story. Thank you, not Mary. I've told the story for the last 10 years that when I chose to stay with the rude man on the internet, I started worrying because I wasn't getting any subscribers. And I thought, you know what? I wonder if I shouldn't have done that. What if people are looking at that when they're looking for something to watch and they see the rude man and they think, that's all we need is another rude man on the internet. And I thought, oh man, I made a mistake. I need to change my name. Well, I never did. But people used to do that all the time. They would say just what Not Mary just said. They would say, I've been watching you for a couple of videos, and you don't seem like a rude man. And then I had to tell the story about how I got the name, because being based on my name Rudy. So I got back up there from Ellen. Was it Ellen? I can't remember now. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. That's why I keep calling her Not Mary. All right, let's see here. Let's get the rest of this sorghum. I didn't even look to see how much. Oh, well, I must have made about 100 grand on that load, because I only had 200 grand, and now I've got almost 4. Baja Blast. Can I get a new combine? I did, Tim. You just didn't see it. Tim wants to know if about a new combine. I did. There's the new one right there. So I did get a new combine. It's a Fendt. It's not any Fendt I've ever seen, but it's a Fendt. So I have a Fendt now, and I have a Massey Ferguson. So there you go. So I did get a new combine. There you have it. Tim's batting less than 1,000 today on what he can tell me to get. or plant or harvest. All right, let's go check on. Let's get rid of this first, and then I'll go check on the pig food. I'm trying to see what Not Mary Jane's avatar is. Is that? I can't tell what it is. Remember, I'm looking at a 4K screen that's about this big, so I can't see. To me, it looks a little bit like somebody's got a mask on. Bill's he's got to hit me after all these years. You ban a guy one time, and they hold it against you for life. How you doing, Bill? New Soul Music. Hey, how you doing, Nick? Nick's in the house. Nick, how you doing? Yeah, Bill's picking on Mary Jane. Bill's a hippie. He knows what Mary Jane is. All right, so I made 80 grand on that one. Let's see what I got in pig food. This is going to make me a millionaire right here. This right here. This one load of pig food is going to make me a millionaire. I'll be right up there with my neighbors down the street. Technically speaking, I'm a millionaire in real life. Technically speaking. How do you say that? If you take all your assets and add them up, I mean, I got my house is worth a little over $500,000. Is it really? I don't know. You'd have to sell it for that, wouldn't you? Supposedly, according to the county, that's what it's worth. And take all my retirement funds and add up my assets, that kind of stuff. I'm over $1 million, believe it or not. There's a lot of people that are. They just don't look at it that way. And the other thing is, these TV shows where somebody kidnaps your kid and you're a rich guy and you have to come up with $50,000 for, whoa, I just ran over my dog and he jumped over the trailer. That was odd. Most people that have money most people that don't have money seriously think that people that do have money go home every night and just run their hands through it, and and it's just laying around. That's not true. Even people with money live from paycheck to paycheck. They just have bigger paychecks than you do. And I'm not talking about the super rich. I'm just talking about people down the street that's a local doctor that makes good money and has a nice house, and they live paycheck to paycheck just like everybody else. I know. I used to work for a bank, and I used to be a commercial loan officer, and I used to have to foreclose on people like that.
Oh, yeah.
I foreclosed on as many, cheers Andy, as many doctors and lawyers as I did regular people. They live to paycheck to paycheck like everybody else. It's just that their paychecks are bigger than yours. All right, so I didn't mean to do what I just did, so now I got to get that again. I didn't mean to store it. I wanted to sell it. So there's me telling stories again and not paying attention to what I'm doing. Now I got to find my pig food. My pig food. By the way, I did go around and made sure the animals were okay. Although I think the pigs might need some straw. There it was. All right, let's grab that again. In the meantime, I've got to get these guys to work. So, first of all, though, as you guys well know, I should have water in the fields. Do I? Is there water in the fields? Yeah, you can see the reflection out there, way out there. All right, I got to turn the water off and drain the fields. So let's do that. I don't want to harvest in a foot of water because their fields got water in them, as you can see right there. You can see the water flowing. Let's do that. I forgot to try my Mucinex again, and now I'm getting that frog in the throat again. I don't know what the heck causes that. All right, I heard the motor go off. Pump is off. Water's gone. Right, the ditch is empty. Sweet. Let's grab a combine and get to work then. I need to wash it though, it's dirty. Don't want to start off with a dirty combine. You dirty combine. Andy the Flying Scotsman. Tim, not today, Tim. I'm not going to get to all those fields. They already have crops on them. Somebody asked me if rice did well. I don't remember. I'm going to have to sell some to find out. Oh yeah, that's why I don't live stream on Twitch. I mean, you're watching me on Twitch, true. But I'm actually live streaming on YouTube. And a lot of people have asked me why I do that. Well, it's because I don't have any followers on Twitch. All my followers are on YouTube. So I don't... and in a way, it's a hardship for me because I really think that Twitch is better for live streaming. If for no other reason, it's because that's all they do. You know, YouTube didn't start out as a live stream platform, so. All righty, let's see. Let's go this way and see if we can get this thing knocked out. I'm gonna hire a worker here. Let's see who I get. It's the luck of the draw. Who wants to make some money today? Let's see. Lori, look down the bottom. Lori's driving. Lori, put some clothes on. Get back in the house and drive this combine for me. Lori's out. I shouldn't have said it that way. Lori's out suntanning. I didn't mean to say it that way. That reminds me of somebody that saw me in the park with my kids. And I used to be a commercial loan officer. I told you that. I went to work every day in a 3-piece suit. So slacks, tie, shirt, jacket, and a vest. 3-piece suit every day. And I saw somebody in a park one day with my kids. I was with my kids, and I had a pair of shorts on and a T-shirt or something. And they said, "Oh my God, it's Mr. St. John." And I said, "No, it's just Rudy, Mr. St. John. That's my dad." And they said, "Well, I almost didn't recognize you without clothes." And I looked at her and I said, "Well, pardon me." But that's, you know what she meant? She meant she didn't recognize me without a suit and tie. But she didn't say that. "I didn't recognize you without your clothes on." Oh God, my kids looked at me like, "What are you doing after work, Dad?" They didn't. They were little back then. I wish they were little again. They were sweet when they were little. All right, let's get this other one going. All greased up. That sounds like a Meatloaf song. All greased up and nowhere to go. Is that what he said? Anybody remember that song, Meatloaf song? No, it was Meatloaf. It's all revved up and no place to go. I guess all greased up's about the same, isn't it? All right, now this is a new combine, so it should be ready to go for windrow. Let's find out. All greased up and nowhere to go. All right, I'm missing out on my chat again. Why is my chat not moving? What did I do? Hang on. I got to check on that. Why is my chat not moving? Oh, come on. What did I just do? And people say a 71-year-old shouldn't be live streaming. I agree, actually. Oh my God, I've missed a lot. Why is my chat not moving? Okay, great. Now I need to get a naked Rudy and Park out of my head. Oh, geez. Jane says, hello, everybody. Say hi to Jane. And Nick was here from Italy. Nick, are you still here? He told me his name is Nico, but he goes by Nick. So I hope he doesn't mind if we call him Nick. Nick is a little bit more American, I think. Although he's not American. Well, I don't know that. He might be American, just lives in Italy. I mean, look at Andy. Andy lives in Devon, England, but he's Scottish. There he is. Hey, Nick. What's the weather in Italy now today? All right, that's not working. So, oh, there it is. There it is. It is working. All right, windrow's working. Not Nikki. Yeah, I think we talked about that too, didn't we? Can't remember. Look at Bill. He doesn't know where he lives either. That's true. He thinks he's Spanish. He thinks he's, what was that? He lives with Spanish moss around his house. All right, now, Bill, be careful. You're watching the Howdy Rudy show. It's Howdy Rudy time. Tutti fruity time. Well, looks like Lori quit over there, so let's grab Lori and look at the job Lori did. And she didn't slide off the seat once with all that grease. That we know of. She didn't slide that we know of. I'm a Minnesota son, by the way. Laugh out loud. I'm so it's there. A Minnesota son. Did we talk about this, Nick? Because my dad's generation was from St. Cloud, Minnesota. I've never been to Minnesota. My dad used to go home every once and again for family reunions, but I never had the opportunity to go with him. I was an adult by then, with a family of my own, and I didn't live close to home, so I never did get a chance to go travel back with him. I would have liked to. There's a lot of family back there I've never met. But, you know, wife and kid and job and trying to schedule some time to go with your dad somewhere just never worked out. My soul. Oh, I thought you were trying to tell me you were a soul man. I'm a soul man. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Soul man. There should be a country someplace where the local language is song. And you don't talk to anybody, you just sing everything. I think there's a movie like that. Matter of fact, there was. The new Marvel movie, which I never saw. After the Marvel movies, the original ones got finished, I never want to watch them anymore. Well, not them. I'm talking if they make new Marvel movies, I don't care. Like, I've not seen any of the new Marvel movies after the Endgame one, or whatever they called it. When they finished that series, I said, okay, I'm done with it, because they're just going to get silly from here on in. Not that those weren't silly. They may have been silly, but at least they were pretty well done. But anyway, in that new Marvel movie, they go to a planet where nobody talks. They sing. The funny part is they're singing, obviously, with words because they're communicating. But if you can't sing, you can't understand what anybody else is saying, which is stupid when you think about it. So there were some people that talked and some people that sang. The people that talked could not understand what the people that sang were saying. Even though they were using the same words, they were just singing them instead of talking them, and vice versa. The king of this planet, the king, or whatever he was, emperor, whatever, was the only person that was bilingual and could understand singing and talking both. As stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And if you think about that right there, and think about that was probably the best part of the whole movie, what the hell, how bad was the rest of the movie? Think about it. I don't want to because it gives me a headache. But there you go. Lori. Chickpeas, chickpeas, chickpeas. Okay, Jane's working. Oh, she changed her name. Jane changed her name. from not Marianne. Anyway, okay, Jane, no problem. Good luck with your project there. If you come back and we see you, good. If we don't, have a good day. Farm Sim Guy's here. Now, this is Farm Sim Guy 23. Don't confuse him with Farm Sim Guy 1 through 22. This one is Farm Sim 23. So don't. He's a one and only. Just like I'm one of 53. No. I'm the only Rude Man 53. James Earl Jones. You got to be talking about James Earl Jones. Bill's not getting into chickpeas. No chickpeas for Bill. He's a sugar beet man. Remember, don't ever forget that. Who's driving the other combine, by the way? Chewy. Where's Chewy? We haven't seen Chewy for a while. Field of Dreams. I haven't seen that since it came out. This is CNN. Chicken Noodle News. They made you and broke the mold? Yeah, well, they did me too. The only problem with that is I was still in the mold. They didn't take me out first. That was painful. Anthony's in the house. Anthony, how are you? Bill's got a new catchphrase. It's chickpeas. All right, so we got another field gone. Let's move on. Oh, wait a minute. I need to make sure I finish this other end over here. Don't forget Red October. Oh, he was great in Red October. He was great. That was so funny when he tells Jack Ryan, was played by Alec Baldwin, one of my most hated actors. I don't like Alec Baldwin, except for I do have to say I really did like him in that role as Jack Ryan. I was upset when they put Harrison Ford in that role because I thought that Alec did a pretty good job there. But anyway, James Earl Jones tells him they're going into a briefing with these high caliber people, generals and admirals and, politicians and all this kind of stuff. And he's nervous. And James Earl Jones tells him to speak his mind. Just calm down. Just go in there and speak your mind. Just tell him the facts. And he goes in there, and when he starts talking, and he lays it out in a way that James Earl Jones gets his shitly grin on his face and says, I told you to speak from your mind, but Jesus. That was a great scene. One of my favorites. You guys probably won't remember this, but the first time I saw James Earl Jones was in a movie where he was abducted by a spaceship. And it was based on a true story, so I can't think. I think he played a guy by the name of Ben Hill, something like that. I can't remember his wife's name. Him and his wife, back in the 50s, I think, and they were driving down the road, country road in their car, and they got abducted by a spaceship. And then they were trying to tell their story to the world, and nobody believed them, and went pretty bad. All right, now who's working? Bill. Bill's doing rice. Bill's a rice picker. Little old rice picker, you. All right, let's see if I can get some air here. Woohoo! Farm Sim Guy says that the UFO incident. Yeah, Farm Sim Guy forgot. Farm Sim Guy's older than I am. He should remember that. Didn't you tell us you were in your 50s or something? 50s or 60s? Yeah, he's older than I am. He should know. I was driving down the road trying to loosen my load. Got an alien abduction on my mind. I don't think that's what was on their mind, and I don't think that's where they got probed either. Travis Walton, that happened in our neck of the woods. That was an Oregon story. I don't remember if that's where they got abducted. I can't remember where they were at. Almost 60? Oh, you're definitely older than I am. I used to be 60. All right, who's working this? Jeremy. Jeremy's here too, isn't he? Jeremy, you're earning some grain buckets today. All right, I got my pig food. Let's see what a load of pig food sells for. Remember I told you I was going to be a millionaire? Well, let's just see. I'm almost $500,000 in the bank right now. So let's see what we've got in pig food. Pig food is gold in this game. Travis Walton. Well, here's the thing about that, Nick. I'll tell you a little something about me. If I'm talking to somebody in person, in real life, and they tell a story of something that happened to them like that, I believe them. I believe every word they say, even if it's something I don't believe in. And it's like ghost stories. I've told this before. If somebody tells me that they've seen a ghost, I believe them. I believe their story. Now, I've seen a ghost myself, but I'm not a big believer in that. Do I believe in ghosts and spirits? Well, that's not what I mean when I say I'm not a believer. I do believe, in ghosts and spirits, but I don't believe that they're everywhere. You watch these TV shows where they're Ghostbusters. I don't believe one word of anything they say. None of them. But if somebody was to come and sit down with me in a coffee shop and say, gosh, last Tuesday, you won't believe what happened, and they tell me a ghost story, I believe every word they say. Why not? Doesn't cost me anything to believe. And here's the thing. People say, well, how can you believe it if there's no proof? And I said, I do have proof. They lived it. Well, how do you believe that? I said, even if they're lying, I can tell they believe it happened to them. If they believe it happened to them, then it happened. It doesn't matter whether it can be proven or not. Well, I can walk outside right now and say it's windy out there. How do you know? You can't see it. Well, I do. I know because, well, not my hair, but anybody else's hair would be blown to the side. My hair, I can walk in a tornado and it don't go nowhere. I go out in my convertible, take the top down, drive down the highway 70 miles an hour. My hair ain't doing nothing. But other people's hair will move. And so, what's moving your hair if it isn't the wind? If it isn't air blowing by? Well, you can't see it. St. Nicholas was a real person? Yeah, Santa Claus. Oh, that sounds funny. All right, I'm missing a little bit here. Clean this field up, and then we'll get to grabbing the hay off of it. Tree leaves. There you go. You see the trees blowing, limbs blowing in the wind. Who's leaves on the ground? What's blowing them around? It isn't some guy with a machine, which never made any sense to me. I see these guys all the time. They got this thing with a strap on them, and they've got a blower. It's like a reverse vacuum cleaner on their back, and they're walking down the sidewalks, blowing all their leaves away. Guess where they're blowing them? In your yard. What? Get a rake and a bag and put them in a bag so you can put them in a dump or something, or a compost pile or something. Don't blow them in my yard. That's the dumbest thing I ever saw in my life. We're cleaning our yard. Yeah, you are. Jeez. I don't have one of those, by the way. I got a lot of convenience things, but that isn't one of them. If I have leaves on the ground, I rake them up, put them in a pile, and either burn them or, well, we don't burn anything anymore, but throw them in a compost pile or put them in a big 50-gallon plastic bag and, put them in a recycling bin. But I don't blow them in my neighbor's yard. A strap. God, Lori. Lori's been around Scorpion too much. I got to keep you guys apart somehow. Thank God, Lori, you're only around him 2 days a week. Gotta get Lori. Lori, do you cook with those hands? Just kidding. She washes the grease off first. Now I'm going to stop with that because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to make Lori mad. She's one of my favorite people. All of you guys are my favorite people. I don't have any friends. You all know that. So when I'm talking about my friends to other people that I know, they have no idea I'm talking about you guys. They think I'm talking about real people. Yeah, I got a friend in Devon, England, and he makes beer. You ever try any? Oh, yeah. Every time I see him. Where's that other combine? Here it comes. I got to get this guy off the road. Move it. All right, who's driving that combine over there? Oh, he's done already. Nobody's driving it. Okay. I forgot there were 2 fields here. Okay. So what? Andy, oh my God, you got Andy going now, Lori. You shocked Andy. I mean, look at that. Lori got 4 exclamation points from Andy. we use leaves rack to get fire going in the fall. That's a good idea. I use the cooking grease to its fullest. Is that why you smell like bacon? Oh my God, that's getting worse. I got to stop. You have as friends even in Utah. Yeah, that's exactly right. I do. Dreaming that we are just imaginary people. Oh my God, that makes it worse, Andy. That makes it worse because now people could say these people are all in your mind. Oh my God, you don't want to be in my mind. No way. That's awful for you guys if you're just people in my mind. Get out of there. All right, I was going to move this guy to another field, but now I feel kind of bad because every weekend I usually record Fallout London, and I didn't do it this weekend. And I didn't do it Monday. I said, oh, I'll do it Monday. I didn't do it Monday. Oh, Tuesday's the day. Oh, wait, I got a live stream. Well, I'll do it Wednesday. And yesterday I seriously was going to, and I didn't do it. And now it's Thursday. We're coming on the weekend again, and I have to have a video up for Monday. And I like to have videos at least 2 weeks in advance, and I don't because I got lazy. I couldn't bring myself to do it. So now I'm worried. And I've been having trouble sleeping at night. I've been having the worst nightmares for the last week. Terrible, terrible nightmares. I had a nightmare one night last week, and Carol, the next day, she said, "What the hell were you doing last night?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, I'm used to your dreams and stuff because you guys know I have a thing. I don't know what they call it, but when you're dreaming about playing football and somebody tells you to run, I'm going to throw you the ball, and in your dream you're running down the field and the guy throws you the ball and you're chasing it, trying to catch it. Normal people, they're just dreaming that. People like me, I have this thing that I'm actually out of my bed running for the ball. I'm physically out of my bed and running. If I'm laying in bed and there's a truck coming to me and I'm trying to back up out of the way, I'm actually backing up on the headboard trying to get away. Normal people, when they dream, their body actually freezes. Your body freezes. And that's why they think some of these people that get abducted, that's one of the reasons why they think that happens, is that they have this thing where when you dream, your body shuts down and stays. That's why you're not running for the ball. These people wake up, but their body hasn't came alive yet. And so they're laying there and they think they see something and they can't move, and all they can do is move their eyes around because they're still stuck in that dream mode. Their body hasn't woke up yet. And I can't remember the words for that. There's names for that when it happens. But for me, it's the opposite. I'm running for the ball. And so Carol's used to that. She's so used to it. Thank God we're both light sleepers. I'm also a lucid dreamer. I know I'm dreaming. When I dream, I know I'm dreaming, and I can sometimes control it. Sometimes I just let it go. So at night, if I'm having a nightmare or something and I'm trying to back off the bed, and I fall out of bed all the time, I have to make sure there's nothing around the bed that I can get hurt on. And when Carol's feels me moving in the bed, she just says, "Rudy," and I say, and I answer, "Yes." "You're dreaming." I said, "I know," and I go back to sleep. We have conversations like that all the time. So she asked me last week, "What the hell were you dreaming?" And I said, "What?" I said, "Why would I do this time?" And she said, "It was outrageous how much you were moving around." And she said, "You were crying, literally crying like a baby, just sobbing, crying." And I told her what it was. It was a terrible dream. It was an awful, awful dream. And it was something that was happening to her. And I've been having dreams like that for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And I haven't been sleeping well. So normally, I got into this story because I was telling you how I record. A lot of times when I haven't done my recording scheduled like I normally do, I'll do it late at night when everybody goes to bed. Because sometimes I can't do it because there's too much stuff going on during the day. I haven't been able to do that because I haven't been sleeping well. And by the time 10 o'clock rolls around, I'm laying in my chair like this. And Carol has to come wake me up and take me to bed. So I can't even get my recordings done. So I'm going to have to do it either tonight or tomorrow. I've got to get it done. Because it takes me a day or two to get everything rendered and edited and all that kind of stuff. Rudy had about those German guys in Fallout London. You were scared? Those guys were terrible, weren't they? They were scary. And I didn't even tell you what happens if you screw that quest up. If you screw that quest up with those German guys, you haven't seen it yet. I haven't finished it. There's one more video with the German guys. And it comes down to where you're stuck on the submarine with them. And you need to figure out a way to get off of it and get out of that quest. And there's several different ways to do it. But you have to do it if you screw it up in any way, they shoot off those nukes and the game's over. And I don't tell you that, I don't think. So it's actually kind of a scary quest to get through. But let's see, Friday, tomorrow, you'll see the end of the submarine one, I think, if I'm not mistaken. All right, let me get this guy out of the field here. Hang on. Let's get him over here, like that. And hang on again a sec here. I got to get caught up on the chat. I get to talking too much, and then I don't watch the chat, so I don't know what's going on. All right, there it is where Andy says, "You guys are just imaginary people I dream up." Boy, that got me into a long-winded story, didn't it? I can be an elf. I actually am an elf. Ask Scorpion. Well, I don't know. They might have got rid of me. I've been an elf in Scorpion's Christmas for how many years? Let's see. Yeah, I got a lot of friends don't know where I keep them. Yeah, it's a mystery. It's like playing those games where you've got shield and sword and a ton of stuff, and you put your sword away, but you don't see where it goes. Where does it go? Where did my shield go? I put it. Where does it go? And then a monster comes up, and you grab the shield and the sword. Where did it come from? Where do you keep all that stuff? And where's your horse when you're not riding it? Is it in your back pocket? I don't get it. Some of those games are kind of weird about that. Farm Sim says in the basement. Rudy has a old hag syndrome is a colloquial term for sleep paralysis. Oh, is that right? That doesn't surprise me. A common sleep disruption that occurs when your mind wakes up before your body. Yeah, a lot of people that have that also believe they've been abducted, because they'll claim that they're being abducted and they're frozen and they can't move, and so they have sleep paralysis. But saw them in 2 videos. Yeah, they're going to be in 3 now because there's 1 more to go. What were you afraid to watch? Remember the James Bond one? Yeah. I was getting my butt kicked by that green guy. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when I was trying to fight that green guy, I was shooting it with my best weapon, which has some pretty good DPS on it. And he wasn't even, his health bar wasn't even moving. And when he ran for me, because I was trying to shoot his leg out from under him, with a ghoul, that's the best thing you can do because then they have to crawl towards you and it gives you time to kill them. So I always try to shoot their legs out. But this one, he wasn't having none of it. I was hitting him in the leg and nothing was happening. And if it wasn't for James Bond coming in, I was a dead man. Dead man walking, saved by James Bond. Can you believe it? Although he's not James Bond in the game, they probably have got some kind of a copyright issue because he's 005. There's a poster in the game that has him in it. So he's not James Bond. He could be Sally Bond. I don't know. He could be Jelly Bond or Jelly Bellies. 005. I've often wondered about James Bond. What happened to 001 to 006? And are they ranked by 001 being the best of them? I don't think so. Because if that's the case, then supposedly our hero James Bond is way down the totem pole on being the best agent. So if he's just a mediocre agent, what the heck? You know what I mean? Oh shoot! Am I in the water? I'm in the water. I can't be in the water. I gotta turn my water off. All right, here we go. I might as well turn the water off on this field too. That way, I don't have to worry about it when I jump this ditch. Oh, this is all you have to do is pick up the shovel. If I had a shovel, I'd shovel some rice. Brooke Bond. There's a friend of mine. Yeah, he's from Wales. And in the James Bonds that had Pierce Brosnan in it. By the way, Pierce Brosnan and I are the same age. We're only a week apart in birthdays. I think maybe 2 weeks. We're only a week or 2 apart in age. He's, I think, a week or 2 older than I am, or maybe the other way around. I can't remember. Although I look better than he does. Oh, look, I'm not as pretty as he is. But wrinkle-wise, he's wrinkled as all hell. You don't see a wrinkle on me. That's pretty good for 71. But he looks pretty rough. He looks pretty wrinkled. And he's got age spots all over his face. They're made up when they're in the movies. And he's got grayer hair than I do. He's solid gray. I have a little bit of gray in here. Mostly my gray's down here, but... Okay, now that I got that out of the way and that I'm as pretty as James Bond, the girl that played Moneypenny, her real name is Bond in real life. I'm for some reason I can't think of her first name. But this friend of mine in Wales, that's his first cousin. That girl that plays Moneypenny in those movies. Small world, eh? I never watched the new one, but I used to watch the one with Jack Lord in it when I was a kid. We did have TV when I was a kid, but not till I was in junior high. We never had a TV. Oh my God! Look at all the wool I got stacked up to sell. Oh, I must have eggs then too, huh? Well, I have a few eggs. What's with these chickens? I got to get more chickens. I'm not getting enough eggs. Okay, so remember I told you that I was going to be a millionaire? Look at over my head over here. Look what I got up there. One trailer load of pig food. $8 million. I can buy a lot of land now. I'm going to be a land baron. Is that what they call them? Land baron? Park this guy out the road. All right, I got to get this guy back to work. Let's get him traveling here. We're going to put him... Let's put him down. Wait a minute. Are these my fields? These are my... Where am I? Okay, yeah. These are my fields. Let's put him way down in this field down here, and we'll start working him backwards. And let them meet in the middle somewhere. Like a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Well, Nick, here's something that you have to realize, though. Nick is saying $8 million from one load. I cheat. Now, did I have that much rice, that much pig food? I did. But if you look at that trailer, that trailer holds 2 million. 2 million liters of grain. It's a trailer wouldn't hold that much. So that's why I got 8 million from that load. It's a big load. My, that's the biggest load you've had since 4th of July. Talk about a load. You'd be talking about that load for 20 years. I had a load of pig food. That's a load, man. That's the biggest load I ever had. They celebrate that load every year. Okay, I'm making stuff up now. You've got a mod to sell for 150 plus. I could probably do it. I was a terrible salesman. I've sold a couple things in my life. I used to sell New York Life. It was I worked for New York Life, but when you do that, you're your own boss. You have to get a license, an insurance license to sell, and it's your own business. You're just selling their insurance. So I wasn't an employee of New York Life. I was my own boss, and I did okay, but I wasn't very good at it, and it was not easy for me. I used to sell advertising as well. The problem is I'm not a good salesman. I have low self-esteem on any given day. I'm a Gemini. I was born in June. I'm a Gemini, which means I'm two people. I have two personalities. I can be on a day where I can do anything. Anything. There's nothing I can't do. And then the next day, I think I'm a loser. And I struggled with that my whole life. I don't let it get me down, but I'm just not real confident today. Tomorrow I can do anything I want to do. And if you go back and look at my working career, you'll see I've done many, many different things, and I was successful in every one of them. But I never thought I was, and I just never thought that much of myself. I still don't. Yeah, see this trailer right here. Look at that little bitty trailer. It's just a half. It's a half pipe. It's a pup trailer, but it holds 2 million tons. Did I say liters? 2 million tons of grain that thing will hold. Yeah, it's a little cheaty, but I don't like driving back and forth to the field, so I want this thing to hold everything it can hold, and then I'll bring it in one time. Know what I mean, Vern? Had lots of girlfriends, Gemini, and I mean the Zodiac. Not me. I went clear through high school and college without ever having a girlfriend. Never had a girlfriend. I was always working. I had to work. I worked before school. I worked after. You've heard this story. I'd get up in the morning, work out in the asparagus fields, cutting asparagus, grab the school bus when it came by. I had my backpack on while I was doing it, and the school bus would come by, and I'd jump on the school bus. Hopefully, we were almost done cutting the asparagus, but I would work when I could. And then after school, I took the bus home, and I ended up running out to the fields again, either the regular fields or orchard. There's a lot of orchards in our area. And I worked for a guy that owned these big orchards. So I was always working. Weekends, I worked on weekends. I was just always working. I didn't have time for girlfriends, and I didn't have the temperament anyway. I didn't believe in myself, but so I knew nobody else did either. As a child, I was very shy, or a young man even in high school. If I was in a department store, walking down the aisles, and I see a schoolmate come in the store, I would run and hide behind some stock somewhere, because I knew if we met in an aisle, they would not talk to me. They would reject me. They would not even remember who I was. They wouldn't acknowledge me, and I couldn't take that kind of stress. So rather than not handle that, I would hide, and so that they couldn't see me. And I was like that all the time. When I was very young, I stuttered really bad, and I wouldn't talk to anybody by looking at them in the face. I would look at their shoes as I was talking to somebody, because I was very, very shy. And I stuttered really bad. Grew out of that. I grew out of all of that. It's funny now because if you ask somebody, what's the first thing you notice when you meet somebody new? What's the first thing you notice about them? And somebody will say, "Oh, I'm a leg man. I'm a boob man." I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you meet somebody. Where do you get your first impression of them? For me, it's their eyes. When I meet somebody new, I'm looking them right in the eyes. And for me, I can tell a lot about you just from looking eye to eye. Have you noticed certain people that when you're talking to them, you think they're looking behind you? It's like, the hell are they looking at? Or they've got that dead look in their eyes, or their eyes are all squinty. And then you meet somebody, and it's like there's a sparkler behind their eyes. Their eyes are just bright, full of life. To me, that tells you a little bit about the person. So when I was talking about, the first thing I noticed is, I'm a boob man, or like, if you're talking about that, I'm still an eye man, because I want to see some life in there. I want to see a sparkle in their eye, because then I know that's somebody that's going to be a good conversationalist, somebody that loves life and is going to be fun to be with. And they got that sparkle in their eyes, Because if they've got a sparkle in their eyes, they probably have a big smile on their face. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I could be all full of crap, but there's a lot of times people will say the movie actress, oh my God, she's so beautiful. And I say, I don't think so. You don't think that that woman is pretty? I say, you mean physically? She probably is. But I know what she's like in her soul, in her life, and she's a terrible person. And I wouldn't walk across the street to, you know what, I don't care what they look like. They could be the most beautiful woman in the world. I won't see it. I won't see it at all. Hey, it's past soup du jour time, and I missed it. Nobody warned me. Where's Matt at? Did Matt tell me? That's what I'm having, but not that kind. I need to get a picture of a Baja Blast, because I'm drinking too much Baja Blast anymore. You know, that's what I usually like. I like a big bottle, but I was raised on pop soda. Well, not really. We couldn't afford soda. But when you got one, it was always in a glass jar or a glass bottle. These plastic ones. That's the only way you can get them now, though. But that's why I drink it, so I can have some energy. Who we got working here? Craig. Craig's working. Hey, Matt. Is it Matt? I forgot now. He's going to kill me. I'm terrible with names. The eyes are the soul to your body. That's what they say. That's what they say. I believe it. I believe it. I watched a video last night on a near-death story. You guys know what those are. Somebody dies on an operating table, and 20 minutes later they bring them back, and then they have a story kind of thing. Whether I believe that or not doesn't matter. I would like to believe it. So I do believe it. This particular story, though, she was in a car accident, very, very serious one. And they called her dead at the scene and covered her up. The people at the scene were doing their business, trying to clear the road and that kind of stuff, when finally an ambulance came. And the paramedic that was on the ambulance went over, and they said, "Have we got anybody?" You know, and they said, "No, they're gone." And there's one out. There's one that got thrown from the car. She's over there, and there's one still in the car. And so he walked over to the one in the car and looked in and checked for a pulse and did his thing. And then he walked over to the other one. How long has she been gone? Because you told me she was gone. She's covered up with a blanket. And they said, I can't remember. It's like 20, 25 minutes or longer. And he said, okay, thanks. And he went over and checked her anyway. At first he checks for a pulse. He checks her eyes. And her eyes are fixed. Checks for a carotid artery. There's nothing. But he does one more thing. There's a thing that you can do. I was a paramedic, so I can tell you. There's a thing you can do in your chest. It's very painful. And he did that. And he was watching her eyes. One of her eyes dilated a little bit. You know what I mean by dilation. They're either fully dilated or, pinpoint dilation. One of her eyes moved. It dilated. Not the eye itself. The inside did that. And he said, there's a spark in there. And he started working on her. And he brought her back. In between the time that the accident happened and they got her to the hospital and they got her through the night into a stable position, she died 2 more times. So she'd been dead 3 times. Now, she tells a story about what she saw. And part of it was, she said she saw herself leaving her body. She saw herself seeing the accident scene and all of that stuff. Then she remembers seeing stuff in the hospital while they were trying to bring her back. She remembers coming back to her body twice, two more times. And but she said then she went and she had an experience where she was in heaven. Now, she doesn't necessarily call it that. She just describes her what she saw, and it's interpreted that that's what she saw on the other side and stuff. This is the interesting part. When I was talking about the eyes are your soul, in the key to your soul. She said when they finally brought her back all the way, the two other times she died, she was off. She was someplace else. She was in this place where she thought was heaven. Okay? And she saw people there. She saw, stuff. But the thing that grabbed me was when she said the last time that they brought her back to life, she had to come from that place all the way back to her body, and she couldn't get in until she realized that one eye that dilated, that's where she went back, through that eye, and was able to get her spirit back in her body. I thought that was interesting. And I just thought that was really interesting. All right, what am I missing? You guys are talking about experiences. Are you talking about near-death experiences? Mason, I got Mason's name wrong, didn't I? Oh, geez. I had this experience July 1993. I was 21. Yeah, see, that's what I mean when I say that I've talked to people or heard people's stories. I believe them. I truly believe them. And people say, well, where's your proof? I don't need proof. I don't need proof. Here's another one that was interesting to me. There was a doctor back in the 1950s, and he was working on a patient that gave him permission to experiment on him. I mean, it sounds like Frankenstein, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's a legitimate doctor, and this patient of his had terrible epilepsy. And again, remember, this is the 1950s. And this guy's studies are well documented. As a matter of fact, the reason why they're well documented was, well, let me tell you what he did. He opened up this guy's skull, and he started experimenting on his brain. Okay, so again, this is not a Frankenstein story. He's not. What he's doing is he's looking for a part of the brain. He's trying to find out if there's something he can find that can trigger the epilepsy on and off. That's what he's looking for. It's the 1950s. And he has this little electrode. It's a little thing, it's got a little bit of electricity to it. And he's running it over the brain. He's not probing or anything like that. He's just doing this. Now, the reason why I said this is well documented and this guy's well known is because he was the first doctor that in what he was doing, he was going through this guy's brain inch by inch with this probe, trying to establish where there may be something that affects this guy's epilepsy. In doing so, he was the first doctor to map the brain. So at one point, here's the interesting part. At one point, he's moving this electrode around, and the guy's sitting there with him. Now, the man is awake. He's awake for this. And because, you know, you've no feeling in your brain. You don't feel if somebody's touching your brain. You can't feel it. Anyway, at one point, he runs this electrode over, and this guy raises his left hand. And the guy that's sitting there looks at the doctor, and he says, "I didn't do that. You did." And the doctor said, "Okay," and he writes it down. That's what I mean. He's mapping the brain, okay? So he goes further on and further on, and one day, he's mapping a part of the brain, and he hits it with this probe, this electrode, and the guy says to him, "Oh wow, I'm leaving my body." And the doctor stops what he's doing, and he says, "Okay, I'm coming back." And he says, "Okay, we're going to stop right there. You need to tell me everything that just happened." Okay, now the interesting part is that people that believe in an afterlife and believe in this near-death experience, there's many, many, many records of people saying that they can see themselves leaving their body at the time of death or just before the time of death. Okay? This man triggered the area where that happens. Now, you got to remember, this was 1950s. Back then, they actually had the belief that your brain was your soul. Now, with what he's doing with this study, if there's something that triggers your brain to release your soul, then your soul and your body and your brain are different things. And so, in a way, if you believe that and you're worried about dying and you don't know if there's an afterlife, there must be. I don't know. It gives me comfort because I believe it. I believe it. Now, this guy I'm talking about wrote several books. One of his books tells about it. This is a guy that was an agnostic. He didn't believe in God, didn't believe in anything really, and started studying. He was interested in these near-death experiences, and he started studying them. And over almost 30 years, he's got well over 1,500 cases that he's studied in detail all around the world, not just, in one country. He's an American. During this time, he went from being an agnostic to becoming a minister. He's a reverend now, but he still continues to study. And when he documents of these 1,500, he's had many, 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 many more stories than that. What he did is he started off by studying people with near-death experiences, and he would take the story, he would research it as much as he could, and he'd write it down. Now, do I believe this story? Doesn't matter. We're going to continue on. He kept studying. Pretty soon he finds somebody that has the exact same story. Exact story. And so now he's got two of them, and he puts them together. And then he does more, and pretty soon he's got all these stories across the board. And when he finds some that are alike, he pairs them up. Now, he's got many, many stories that are kind of way out there. And those are not part of this 1,500. The 1,500 are all stories where he's have hundreds more with the exact same story. The exact same, this is what I saw, that's exactly what that guy saw. This is what I saw, I'm from India. This is what I saw, I'm from the United States. It's the same thing. they described the same thing that they saw on the other side. There was a guy that was a Muslim, and when he went over, he met this guy that, as it turns out, he thinks is Jesus, but he's a Muslim. He didn't know anything about Jesus. But he dies. He doesn't know he's dead. He goes there. There's this guy there, and he says, "You're welcome in my home. All are welcome in my home." And the kid, he's a kid in his 20s, and he says, and again, he's I think he's from Africa or someplace, but he was a Muslim, and he says, "Am I dead?" And I can't remember the answer he gets. It wasn't, "Oh yeah, sure, you're dead." It wasn't that. He told him something, something spiritual or something, and that, but he said, "There's nothing to be afraid of. All are welcome here in my home. You're welcome. There's a place for you here. But it's not your time. You need to go back." When he got back into his body, it was like a day or two later. And he's got something over his head and face when he wakes up. And so he reaches up and pulls it. It's a sheet of some kind. He pulls it and he sits up. And he looks around, and there's dozens of people around him. And they're all screaming and yelling and carrying on. And he looks down beside him. He's laying on a slab. And he looks down beside him, and there's a grave there. It's his grave. He's at his funeral. They're going to put him in the hole. And so the last thing that this being told him, who's God, was, "You have to go back. It's not your time. But I want you to tell everybody what you saw. Everybody. I want you to tell everybody what you've seen." And so he gets back. Well, now remember, he's Muslim. And he starts describing this guy. And he talks about this guy had wounds in his hands. And somebody in the group says, "Jesus. He saw Jesus." Why would he see Jesus? He's a Muslim. He doesn't know anything about Jesus. A Muslim would have a certain particular thing in their mind about what their heaven looks like, I would think. Long story short, this kid becomes a minister in the Christian faith. They don't like that. And in his short lifetime so far, he's had 7 attempts on his life. One of them was his own father. His own father tried to poison him because they don't like it that he's talking about Jesus, and he's got other people that follow him now. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. Wow, I've really got into this. I got to check the chat. I haven't looked at the chat for a half hour. Hang on. Yeah, Farm Sim, you're right. Farm Sim's saying that a lot of them have the same stories. And that's how he categorized them. Because remember, this guy's an author. He's looking for proof of life after death. He's looking for proof. That's why he doesn't take the stories that don't match up. He doesn't get rid of them, but he sets them to the side. He's looking for the ones that we have 1,000 people in 96 different countries, and they all saw the same thing. How is that? Anyway, Mason is funny. What did Mason say? What'd I miss? What'd I miss? That's what I get for being too winded. I missed what Mason said. Is your name Billy? Oh, okay. That's a good one, Mason. Okay, so 2 of you have had a near-death experience, huh? Do aliens have souls? You, this guy talks about that. Because one of the questions they asked him in the interview I was watching was if he believes in aliens, and he said, I believe God created a lot of beings. Why couldn't he have also created aliens? I don't know. He doesn't necessarily have any proof of that. But here's another thing, though. A lot of people ask about their dogs and their cats. Do dogs go to heaven? I've heard that my whole life. Do dogs go to heaven? A young gal passed, went to what she considered was heaven, was not a good person. She was a young girl. She was abandoned at birth by her father, whoever her father was, and her mother both was abandoned. She had a tough life. And this minister said, they asked, well, what do you mean by she had a tough life? And he said she had to do some things in her life that were not good. And they said, what kind of things? And he said, she was a young girl. You can probably guess. And she'd done some very bad things, just trying to stay alive. But he said it wasn't just the fact of trying to stay alive. It was also, in her mind, she did things that were because she didn't think she had the right to be alive. It was some kind of verification of herself and being alive, trying to verify, trying to justify the fact that she had a life at all. And so she did some pretty bad things. Now, when she had her experience, she got into heaven, I guess, but she didn't get there right off the bat. She was heading the other way, and she knew it. She knew it. By this time, she was in her late 20s, and she was heading for the other way, and she could see that it wasn't a pleasant. Where she was going wasn't pleasant, and she was scared, and she didn't know what to do. And she said, in her journey down, she tried to say the Lord's Prayer. It was the only thing she could think of to do from her youth. But she'd never learned it, and she couldn't say it. And she was getting scared and more scared and more scared. And she kept trying to remember the words to the Lord's Prayer. She couldn't remember it. She was raised at some point in an orphanage that was religious, but she couldn't remember the prayer. She couldn't think of anything to do, and she just started screaming, "God save me. Please, God save me." And she said she felt something around her that felt like a giant hand wrap around her and turn her around and push her the other way. And she ended up in a place that was full of light. There was a guy there that looked like he was made of light. And he told her, "Don't be afraid. I'm here for you. Don't be afraid." And so he kept trying to calm her down. This person, there's room for you here in my house, that kind of stuff. She didn't know what to do, because she said, "I don't belong here. I belong back where you pulled me from. I need to go there." And he said, "No, you don't. All you have to do is acknowledge me. All you have to do is keep me in your heart." And she said, "No." Now, this guy said one thing that you have to remember: if you're standing in front of God or Jesus, you can't lie. You're not allowed to. You can't lie. So she was telling him that she belonged in the other place. She really believed it because she had a really bad life. And he was trying to convince her, "No, you don't have to go there." And at one point she said, I'll believe you if you could show me somebody that loved me or that I loved. Is there any way you can show me somebody that loved me?" Because remember, she was abandoned. Nobody loved her. He said, "Yes, look to your right." and she looked to her right, and sitting right next to her was her dog that passed away about 8 days before. And next to that dog was a dog that she had when she was a kid, a young kid. And they were dogs sitting there wagging their tails and smiling at her. That kind of answers the question, and that dog go to heaven. At least that did for me. I thought that was interesting as well. Nick says, it's a wonderful experience. I mean, I saw my body when I got out and a push like a rocket that sent me in the hallway. But I was not worried. I was so happy. When I come back to my body, it was so sad. A lot of people, a lot of the stories that are in this guy's book are of that, of like that. They don't, a lot of them don't want to come back. I can find out if rice makes good money. I don't think it does, but I can find out. Andy says there's scary stories. It depends on how you look at it. Like Andy, I'm 71 years old. I've only got a few years left, and it's those stories are comforting to me. So, and I've been a Christian my whole life. I believe. I've always believed, but when people say, well, why do you believe something you can't prove? To me, and the whole reason this guy did this 30-year study, he was looking for proof of an afterlife. And he says, I found 10 things in all of these stories. There's 10 things that I would consider complete proof. And he goes through these 10 things in this interview I was watching. But yeah, to me, it's a comfort. I often ask people that, well, how can you believe in something you can't see? And then nobody knows, because there's been a lot of people that died and nobody's come back to tell you, what actually happens. There's a lot of people that when I die, I'm just going to be dirt in the ground, and that's the end. And I kind of feel sad for people that believe that. In this respect, I can tell you, I've talked to people about it. Very, very short thing. Very short, thing. What does it cost you to believe in God or heaven? What does it cost you to believe? Nothing. What does it cost you if you don't believe? It could cost you everything. If the people that believe are right, and the people that think you're just going to be dirt in the ground are wrong, then you'll have lost everything. So on one hand, believing in something doesn't cost you anything, but not believing could cost your soul and your afterlife. So what's the sweat off your brow to believe? I've actually had people tell me that are solid believers that it's harder for them, for what they've found out in life. It's harder for them to believe that it doesn't exist than it is that it does. They said it's harder for me to believe that it doesn't than for me to believe that it does. And still, the bottom line is it doesn't cost you anything to believe. Unless you're afraid of somebody laughing at you. I don't care what people think. You're welcome to believe anything you want. That's what a lot of people say, Nick. That's exactly what a lot of people say that have had that experience. Well, definitely if you have the experience, I would think that but not everybody does. That was one of his questions. He said, how many people come back and still don't believe? And he said, there's a few. Some people are pretty hard-headed. I'll tell you what else he said, though. He said that one of the things that the people said was that didn't believe is they said that when they had the near-death experience, at that minute, at that time, they would acknowledge, and they would say, "That's all you need." And that's in the Bible too. If you want to be saved, all you have to do is take me in your heart. What does that mean? That just means acknowledge me. That's all you got to do. Now, there's different kinds of religions, which is another thing. Here's another thing. I already told you one of them. The Muslim, there's a whole bunch of those. There's a whole bunch of people that have different religions. Yet when they come back, they describe Jesus. They describe, which is kind of weird. And they would say that that's what they were told. There's a place in my house for everybody. You're welcome here. Well, it's kind of odd. He had, of course, he didn't tell you all stories. What he was trying to do was trying to take a story from each category that had one of the 10 things that he thought proved, that there is an afterlife. And so naturally, you didn't hear all the stories. I didn't hear no 1,500 stories. Well, actually, he's got more than that. It's just the 1,500 that had, multiple ones. But what he said was that shoot, I forgot where I was going with that. But the amount of people that had different religions. Yeah, there were a couple of Hindu people that had the same kind of story. When they got there, they were surprised that it didn't look like what they were told their heaven would look like in their religion. Yeah, that's what it sounds like, Nick. That's what it sounds like. Well, it makes you kind of wonder. I mean, I've heard other things like that. I've heard stories about, long before TV and radio and telephones and internet. Long before that, back in the days of, I don't mean to go all the way back to cavemen, but back in early days of this old earth, it always surprised me that almost every country that had no way of knowing that they weren't that there were other people in the world, because they didn't have boats. They didn't have cars. They didn't have trains, planes, and automobiles. Yet they all have the same stories handed down to them verbally of a flood, of certain things that happened. Well, how does that work? How do they all have the same story of a flood when they didn't even know there were another group of people living in another continent next to them? They only knew about the people they had within their, 50 miles of existence. That's kind of weird. I've often thought about that. Well, I don't know about you guys. When we talk about religion, and I told you last Tuesday, I don't talk about this kind of stuff all the time. I don't. I'm a farming channel. I'm here for gaming and stuff. I don't normally get into that. But I got triggered today for something. I can't remember what. But anyway, For me, people have always asked me, what religion are you? And I said, well, I was raised Catholic, but that only means that my mom was Catholic when I was born. When you're from a Catholic family, you're baptized at birth. You're a Catholic. You're baptized Catholic. And so my mom died when I was 6. My stepmom was a Lutheran. So we immediately got hauled down to the Lutheran church and baptized again. And then when I got a little bit older, when I was in high school, I told you I never had a girlfriend in high school or college. That's true. Doesn't mean I didn't like girls. At one point, a bunch of us guys started going to a church called the Nazarene Church. And somebody said, are you part of that church? I said, I have no idea what that church is all about, but I'm told that's where all the girls go. Well, as it turned out, they had a younger youth minister, and they had a really good youth program. They had like a basketball gym, and Mormon churches have that. Mormon churches have basketball courts and tennis courts and all kinds of stuff in their churches. They have movie theaters, all kinds of stuff. Well, the Nazarene Church in our town supposedly had this young youth minister that did a lot of weekly things to keep kids occupied, so they weren't running around all over town getting into trouble. And I was told that all the girls went to this Nazarene church. So hey, if you want to find where all the girls at, start going to. So I started going to this church. I still don't know what the heck the Nazarene church is about. Bottom line is this: when people ask me what church do I belong to, I don't really belong to one. My pat answer is, if they're preaching from the Bible, I don't care. I can go to their church. Now, they might not look at the Bible the same way that I do, or they might not look at the Bible the same way that the Catholic Church did, or the Lutheran Church, or any other church. But as long as they're preaching from the same book, I can still get what I need out of that church. And I can ignore the rest that I don't believe in. And so I've been to many, many different churches. I don't call at this time any of them home, except for my own home. Carol and I do our own thing at home. But yeah, as long as they're teaching from the Bible, I can get something out of what I need out of it. I had some friends, good friends, that were part of the Mormon church, and they were constantly trying to get us to go to their church. And they kept telling us, the way you raise your kids and things you believe in, you're already Mormon. And I said, no, I don't think so. Because the Mormons believe in some stuff that are kind of out there, and not something I believe in. But they're good people, very good people. And I may not believe everything they believe in, but they're good people. And I can overlook some stuff. It's like I said, as long as a church is preaching from the Bible, I'll be okay. Andy, what's Andy buying for 10 grain buckets? A mead, huh? Double P's in the house. PP's in the chat. PP came in just in time to say goodbye to me. Pretty quick, anyway. I have people that ask me, about when I have a day like today, and I'm talking about stuff like this. I have people that kind of look at me and say, "Why do you do that on your YouTube channel? You're just going to piss a bunch of people off." And I said, "Well, that's the difference between my channel and somebody else's channel. All right. I do what I do in this channel for fun and entertainment. And I don't do it because I'm making money. I don't do it because I think I'm going to get 1 million clicks on a view or views on a video. I do it for fun, obviously. You know, I've told you, look at the views I get on Fallout London, 10 people. At the most, maybe 20. Any other YouTuber would not make those videos because they're not making any money on them. That's not why I do this. I do it for fun. If half of you said we don't like what you're talking about today, I'd stop talking about it. I don't want to upset anybody. But as far as me worried about it, about me talking about something that's controversial, as long as nobody's yelling at me about it, it's my channel. I'm not doing it for money. Yeah, so if I come in next week and I've got like 300 comments about how bad a person I am, then you probably won't hear me talking about it anymore. You know, I don't want to upset anybody. You know, if I said something to you in real life, if you knew me and I said something to you that hurt you and I didn't realize it, and somebody says, Rudy, you know that thing you said to Andy the other day really hurt him, that would devastate me. It really would. I would be devastated that I said something that hurt somebody. I don't want to hurt anybody. Sometimes I'll just say something that's in my head and not think about it. Or I'll say something that means something different to me than it might to you. I'll give you an example. I used to get in trouble all the time because I would see somebody and say, like, I'd see somebody walking down the street and I'd say, oh my God, did you see the size of that? Or did you see how big that girl was? And people will say, well, you're no lightweight yourself. And I look at them like, why would you say that? I was talking about her height. She was at least 6'2". But they thought I was talking about her weight. And so I was, it was the way I said it. It meant something different to me than it did them. So I might have hurt somebody's feelings when I didn't mean to. I was talking about her height. My goodness. You don't see some girl over 6 foot tall very often. And so I just used the wrong word. I should have said tall instead of big. But that's what I mean. Sometimes I'll say something that somebody will take offense to or not like, and I don't want to upset anybody. I really don't. And if I do, I don't mean it. I didn't mean to, and I get devastated. It really bothers me when I hurt somebody like that. I don't mean to. Now, I could be two-faced, which I am. Everybody is. I could be two-faced and say, well, I would have said it if she wasn't standing there, you know, and to hear me, I might have said it, and it might have been hurtful. Does that make me two-faced? I suppose it does. Everybody's that way, though. But if somebody was to point it out to me, that I said something bad about somebody that I didn't know, just because they couldn't hear me, I would still be bothered by it. If somebody pointed it out, I would still be bothered about it. But I've done it before.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Hank the Gamer's here. I've done something like that before, and everybody gets caught up. Don't tell me you haven't done something like that yourself. Don't tell me you haven't said something nasty about somebody that you didn't know or you barely knew, because you knew they couldn't hear you. Or there's somebody else there with you and they're all talking about, it's probably not a good thing. Does it make you two-faced? I suppose it does, because you could then turn around and say, well, I don't mean it. Well, then why'd you say it? I think the important thing is if you feel like a heel after you do something like that, if you feel bad about it, well, then you're not a sociopath, and that's a good thing. If you say something like that and you don't care, Well, that's a little sociopath. That's not good. So, anyway, I guess I've said enough for today. I don't want to get too in trouble. I'll have to tell my wife not to watch today's episode. She doesn't anyway. She doesn't watch my stuff. Occasionally she might, because it pops up. She's out watching Roku, and she watches a lot of stuff on YouTube, and of course, my videos pop up all the time. She's probably already looking to see how many views I got today, because I'll come out and she says, how'd your stream go? And she'll say, yeah, I noticed you had about 60 people on, or she's not looking about who's on. She's looking about how many views there are. But anyway, I'll just have to tell her, don't watch today's, because you'll get mad at me. If you were two-faced, you wouldn't be wearing that one. That's a good one. I can hide this one, though. It's easy enough. I just do that. Okay, since you can't see me, am I really here? You gotta have some faith. If you have faith, then you can see me. Anyway, guys, sorry I got long-winded today, and I'm sorry I talked about things you probably didn't want to hear. But I've got the weekend to get over it, and so do you. I can't believe the weekend's here already. So I'm glad you guys were here with me today. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking with me. And I couldn't help it. Yeah, I thought it was funny. Next when I come on, I've got $8 million. I'm going to buy some more land. So we'll do that in the next episode. Have a good weekend, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Be good. If you're playing games, have fun. That's the important part. And I hope to see you again. Ta-ta for now. Bye-bye.